Hey there people, today I want to talk to you about the 5 unexpected and counterintuitive benefits of going vegan. I'm not here to force my beliefs on anyone. I'm making this video because ever since going vegan a year ago, I noticed some really cool things happening in my life, and I think it will be very lame of me to keep these things secret to myself. In this video, I'm not going to cover the usual benefits like living longer or having a smaller ecological footprint, etc. I'm going to cover the topics that really surprised me when I noticed them in my own life. So without further ado, let's jump in. Veganism can be great for building muscle. This is very counterintuitive because, as the omnipresent question in any vegan's life asks, where do you get your protein? The answer is the same place everyone else does, from plants. The only difference is that most of our protein isn't digested by an animal first. I am by no means a bodybuilder, but it is fair to say I am in relatively good shape at the moment. Definitely better than I was before, and I attribute this mainly to my diet. There are a few ways in which a vegan diet can be beneficial to building muscle. But before I get into that, let me just state that there are many varieties of the vegan diet, so it is not guaranteed that if you are vegan you will build muscle. You still need a good balance of carbs, proteins and fats, as well as all the micronutrients. Although that is not very difficult, or at least not with my eating habits. Initially I used to roughly count how much protein I ate every day, but after a while I realized I was getting much more than I needed without even trying. So now I pretty much just eat whatever I want, although I am very lucky in that what I want to eat tends to be very healthy and balanced. But the point is that a vegan diet is not necessarily a low protein diet. Vegan foods like seitan and nooch knock meat out of the park when it comes to protein content. One of the reasons why adopting a vegan diet can be beneficial to building muscle is that it drastically reduces delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS. This is one of the first things I noticed. I could work out really hard and recover pretty much overnight. When I noticed this, I wasn't sure if it was due to veganism or not, so I googled it, and it seems that many other vegans tend to have the same experience. The mechanisms of DOMS are not fully understood yet, so why a vegan diet would reduce it is also not fully understood. But from what I read, it seems that people believe that this is due to vegans having less lactic and uric acid in their blood. These acids are byproducts of digesting certain foods, and they slow down muscle recovery. I would think that a vegan diet would also be good for muscle recovery because it is good for cardiovascular health, which means that your blood vessels could get all the nutrients to your muscles very quickly and efficiently, but that is just my own intuition. Another reason why a vegan diet is good for building muscle is that vegans tend to have more energy. The reason for this is that digesting meat tends to make people lethargic because it is very taxing on their digestive systems. Having more energy is obviously beneficial to building muscle because it means it is easier to get motivated and do exercise. Now, if you're not convinced yet and you think I'm talking nonsense and vegans do struggle to build muscle, just look at the animal kingdom. It takes many lions to take down one buffalo. Gorillas and elephants are also both vegans. Where do they get their protein? The next thing I really did not expect was that the food is amazing. I thought a vegan diet was going to be very restrictive, but I eat a greater variety of amazing flavors now than I ever have. I discovered so many great foods that I never really knew of before, like seitan, tofu, tempeh, falafels, and my favorite, nutritional yeast. Flavor-wise, plants have a lot more to offer than animal products. Think about it. When people try new types of meat that they've never tasted before, they usually say it tastes like chicken. But every single fruit and spice tastes so vastly different to all the others. The other day, I tried a sea berry for the first time in my life, and it was amazing. It was like seeing a new color, a totally new experience. The reason why plants are so flavorsome to us is that our tongues are optimized for tasting it. We are primates, and primates are mostly herbivores. Therefore, we evolved to have more receptors on our tongues for tasting different types of plants than other things. Meat without spices is quite bland. Although I do admit the case for dairy products is different, because being mammals we naturally consume milk as babies, but still knowing about all the unhealthy things in dairy, all the suffering it causes, and the fact that I'm no longer a baby makes it easy for me at least to cut out. There is a strong connection between taste and smell, and humans have a clear preference for plant smells also. If anything other than cheese, eggs or fish smell like cheese, eggs or fish, we would say it smells disgusting. So we deduce that the receptors that they elicit a response in are telling us to stay away. But fruity and spicy smells, on the other hand, are very attractive. The next counterintuitive benefit is that veganism is liberating. You would expect the opposite because it's all these new rules and things you cannot do anymore. But actually, I'm allowed to stop anytime I want. I choose not to. Before going vegan, I never actually made the choice to not be vegan. The first time my parents fed me meat, I was too young to question it. And for 22 years, it never actually occurred to me that I can make the choice to not harm animals. There is this very interesting psychological phenomena called choice blindness, when people can think they made a certain choice when they didn't, and when asked why they made that choice, they would even confabulate reasons for it. There are real experiments showing that people make up justifications for choices they never made.
If you're into that sort of thing, I linked a video in the description of someone explaining that in some more detail.
Looking back at the reasons I used to justify to myself that it is okay not to be vegan, I get quite embarrassed. There were so many logical flaws, but I did not realize, because I did not look for logically consistent arguments. I just looked for something to resolve the cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance, by the way, is another interesting psychological term that I would recommend looking up.
I was searching for reasons where there were none. And because the choice preceded the motivation, the reasons did not have to be sound. It really bothers me that human minds work like this, and if anyone ever notices me doing this again, please make me aware of it. But let's get back to the point. Veganism also feels liberating because I am no longer a slave to social stigmas, groupthink, denial, or ignorance. None of these things should play any part in decision making. This next thought train might sound a bit offensive if you don't follow it to the end, so please listen to the whole thing before being offended and judging its validity accordingly. I believe a person must be a little evil to choose to eat a product of animal suffering if there are healthier, less cruel, and in many cases tastier options. And maybe I'm naive, but I don't think that many people are evil. I certainly don't think I was evil before I went vegan. So the only explanation I could come up with is that many people never actually make that choice. As shown in the experiments about choice blindness, people have no difficulty believing they made a choice that they never actually made. The next benefit I want to talk about today is that vegans smell good. This one is not necessarily counterintuitive, but it was unexpected and surprising. I remember exercising one hot day, and I was quite sweaty. Then, as one does, I smelled my own armpit, expecting to be repulsed. To my surprise, I smelled great, at least to myself. Apparently many vegans have the same experience. And the explanation I read goes like this. Because humans have long digestive tracts, like those typically found in herbivores, when we eat certain foods that spoil quickly, like meat and dairy, they spoil inside us, causing our breath and our sweat to smell bad. The last unexpected thing I noticed was that my beard got a bit thicker. This is counterintuitive because for some odd reason, veganism is associated with being less masculine. My thickening beard could just be due to aging, I don't know, but if it's due to the diet, there could be a simple explanation. Vegan men have higher testosterone than meat eaters and even vegetarians.
I linked a study in the description showing that.
Dairy products would also be bad for beard growth as far as I know, because it is filled with female hormones like estrogen. Any milk contains the hormones of the animal that is producing it, and these animals tend to be female. But the milk of farmed cows is even worse, because they are constantly kept pregnant for economic reasons. So the more dairy products a person consumes, the more similar their hormones are to an animal that is simultaneously breastfeeding and pregnant. I cannot imagine that that is good for beard growth. So that's it for the 5 unexpected and unintuitive benefits of going vegan. There are many more benefits, but these are the 5 that really surprised me. If you're also a vegan and found other benefits that surprised you, comment below and feel free to like and share. Thanks for watching.